Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I recently realized, kind of embarrassingly, that I haven't properly introduced myself on this channel. So, hey, what's up? I'm Brian. I'm a chef in the real world. I used to be a seafood guy. I was a bread baker for a while, but now I'm back being a chef. And on this channel, my goal is to show you how we think about, cook, and approach food at the professional level. But all the recipes on this channel are specifically designed for you, the home cook, to be successful. So if that sounds fun, stick around. Let's get to the video. Here's a problem. Potato salad usually stinks. In fact, a lot of you guys probably would even say, you don't like potato salad. And I'm willing to argue that that's not really the case. You probably just haven't had great potato salad yet. What I think is a lot more likely is that the potato salad you're used to is usually an afterthought. Someone's going to the grocery store to pick up some brats and some burgers, and they see it in the deli counter and they're like, oh, I have to have a side at my barbecue. I'm gonna pick up a couple pints of that wet, white, pre-made stuff and just serve it up. No big sweat. But we know what happens next. That potato salad just sits there, slowly getting weirder and weirder in the sun next to that plate of whatever 1 or 2 hot dogs and burgers might be left over, and no one really touches it. So let's hit the reset real quick. Let's redefine what a great potato salad is. I've thought about this a lot, and I've made hundreds, and I mean hundreds of batches of potato salad trying to figure this out. But I've got a list. I've isolated to 5 things that make great American style potato salad. Number 1, nicely cooked waxy potatoes. Number 2, thoughtful, clean tasting mayo, whether you make it by yourself, which I recommend, or you get something nice from the store. Number 3, dill, lots of it. Number 4, crunchy, sweet pickles. Usually bread and butters in my house, but sweet gherkins work in a pinch. And number 5, tangy, zippy, yellow mustard. There's plenty of other potato salad variants out there, and I would love to get into the weeds on those at another time. I can say with absolute confidence that these 5 things are really all you need to make a perfect potato salad. Okay, now for the process. We're gonna start with 1 kilo or 2 pounds of waxy potatoes. I prefer something close to a new potato style. Almost every grocery store is gonna have something like this. It's got a nice tender skin that we don't have to worry about peeling, and has way less starch than a normal floury russet style potato. This style of potato actually gets creamier when you heat it up, and it stays in one piece when it gets cooked. I'm not saying that russets or Yukon Golds can't make a great potato salad in a pinch, but like I said, they both fall apart and crumble as soon as they get tender. And both of them probably require peeling, which is also a negative in my mind. So I'm gonna cut this kilo of waxy potatoes in half, and I'm gonna throw it into a 6-quart Dutch oven. I'm gonna cover those with about 1 inch of water, and I'm gonna bring the whole thing to a boil over high heat. At that point, I'm gonna reduce it to a gentle simmer, and I'm gonna season this liquid with 2 very generous pinches of salt. We wanna make sure these potatoes are well seasoned when we cook them. Another thing we want to pay attention to here is how we cook the potatoes. If we were to boil these really hot and quick, they'd absorb a lot of water and they would crumble a little bit too much in our salad. When we cook them slow, you get a nice pearly set potato that is super creamy and is going to take mayonnaise really well. Speaking of mayonnaise, while we let those potatoes cook, we're gonna make some nice mayonnaise of our own. And I have some explaining to do. So in the chicken salad video, I gave you guys a recipe for some handmade mayonnaise. I use a restaurant recipe in that video, and in the restaurant we have access to some tools and we're all a little bit more experienced, so we can get a lot of oil into a single yolk. And it didn't work, unfortunately. I got a lot of messages from you guys saying that you broke the mayonnaise, and that's my bad. I'm sorry, I should have thought about that, but I've redesigned that recipe to make it foolproof and a little bit easier to make at home. We've added a whole egg instead of just a yolk and a little bit of water, just so there's more stuff to hold on to that oil. So into a tall-sided container, we're gonna crack 1 whole large egg. Into that, we're gonna add 20 grams of water and 25 grams of white distilled vinegar. We're also gonna add in 5 grams of salt, and you're gonna need 325 grams of a neutral oil measured out. Using an immersion blender, we're gonna slowly stream in this oil over the course of about 10 seconds. You're gonna wanna make sure you're moving the blender head up and down a little bit to make sure that everything's getting evenly incorporated and it's not getting too thick on the bottom and too thin on top. And there, 5 minutes total work, and we've got the cleanest flavored mayonnaise available. I'm not the hugest fan of store-bought mayonnaise because for me it usually just tastes like oxidized industrial seed oils. I know it sounds weird and specific, but once you're aware of that flavor, it's really hard to put up with. So I always make my own. If you're gonna buy, I recommend Duke's on the sort of more budget side. And if you have some nice money to spend and you want to get a nice clean oil in your mayonnaise, Primal Kitchen makes a really good one. It's expensive, but it's super good. This recipe makes about double the mayonnaise you need for this potato salad. And that's mainly just because spinning a small batch of mayonnaise at home is nearly impossible. So use the rest of this stuff on some other delicious projects. Maybe the spicy mayo from the fish tacos I showed you guys last week. So set that aside. We're gonna get the rest of this dressing made up. So like I mentioned, the perfect potato salad always pays tribute to fresh dill. I'm gonna grab some of that from my garden. We need about 20 grams of that all day. I like to give this a rough chop to open up the aromatic qualities, but I don't want to cut it too much because that bruises it and makes it almost smell and taste like grass clippings. So set that aside once we've got it chopped into a deli, and we're gonna grab a jar of nice cold bread and butter pickles. We need 275 grams of these pickles all day, and for me that was an entire jar. We're gonna drain off all that liquid and give these a coarse chop with our knife. It's probably 2 to 3 passes total. We're gonna measure this 275 grams of pickles on top of our dill, and then we're gonna follow that with 175 grams of our mayonnaise from earlier and 80 grams of yellow mustard. I'm not inflexible on this potato salad thing. I've made it with tons of other different things. I've made it with yogurt, green onions, sour cream, chives, parsley, but none of them were perfect potato salad. Today's recipe is an exercise in addition by subtraction. We don't need more than these 5 things to have perfect potato salad. It's been 25 minutes and it's time to check our potatoes. It looks like they're just becoming tender. And the way I usually tell that is by pressing one against the side of the pot with my fork. If they resist breaking just a little bit, but eventually give way under the pressure, they're perfect. I also definitely make sure that I eat one to tell. Once I've confirmed that they're cooked properly, we're gonna strain off this hot liquid and we'll let them cool down to room temperature. And that usually takes about 25 minutes. Once these are cooled down, we're gonna flip this over into a mixing bowl and we're gonna add all of our seasonings now. But it's not over. We're gonna be mixing this potato salad in a very specific way. The ultimate textural goal here is to have nice, tender, waxy chunks of potatoes that have a good bite to them that are suspended in like perfectly whipped, perfectly seasoned mashed potatoes. We're gonna start by smashing up about 25% of these potatoes. After we've got that smashed up, we're gonna use one of our hands and kind of let it go limp and whip it back and forth to spread this potato mixture around and gently crumble up some of those potatoes. After about 15 to 20 seconds, it'll start to thicken up, but be careful, we don't want total potato destruction here. All we want is about 1/3 of this mixture to be smashed up and whipped so that it can hold the rest of these cooked potatoes up. At this point, give it a taste and it might need a little bit of salt. I was a little conservative on my cooking liquid earlier just so that I could make up this little bit now. I don't want to be too salty at this point. There's nothing you can do about it if you've over seasoned it. At this point, it's great. My first bite, I got a huge crispy chunk of bread and butter pickle and that's awesome. So now I'm going to transfer it over to a serving platter. But we all know no one's coming over. It's just me in 2 pounds of potato salad. So let's eat it. I don't need dinner. And that's it, you guys. Perfect potato salad. I don't like to use too much hyperbole here. I don't like to throw perfect around too much, I hope. But I really do think that this is the best potato salad on planet Earth. If you guys want some more fun recipe ideas for summer barbecue type stuff, check out this video for dad ribs. We did that a couple weeks ago. But also stay tuned because I'm going to be showing you guys my favorite cheap smoker next week. And we're going to be making some smoked pulled pork. So check that out when it drops. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention today. As always, see you next time.